Hey Rory, did you know that they've been putting barcodes on the side of Norwegian warships?
Barcodes? No.
Yeah, yeah, it's so that when they return to port, they can Scandinavian.
Oh, Jesus.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of That's Class, your weekly podcast about things that we find class, and is hosted by two class individuals. My name is Duncan Malcolm, and with me co-hosting, as always, is Rory Kidd. How are you, Rory?
I'm great. I've had a surf already this morning. It's been pretty fun. How are you, Duncan?
I am very well. It is a nice Sunday afternoon. I'm feeling pretty good about life.
Yeah.
If you're a first-time listener, welcome, welcome. We are just two class individuals trying to muddle our way through life and talk about films, movies, games, TV shows, anything we find class. We upload these podcasts every single Monday in time for your commute, wherever your commute is in this COVID world, be it to an office or if you're just going to your couch or just to the kitchen table. Hopefully, you want to give us a listen. Make sure you give us a like. 5 stars is the minimum we accept in this
Absolutely.
establishment. You can find us everywhere you get your podcasts. That can be iTunes, Spotify. Kid's a bit of a wizard with it. He gives it to some app called Anchor, and it just spreads the news like wildfire. We also upload a video episode, which is just the same podcast, but if you want to put a face to the name and face to the voice, and then instantly regret that choice, then you can find us on YouTube on the following Wednesday. And yeah, if you can leave us a like, review, subscribe from there, and hopefully you find us class. So, Roy, what have you been up to?
It's actually been incredibly sunny this week, and I took Friday off, and I've taken Monday off to have myself a little long weekend. And I've been surfing a lot with my girlfriend and with our friends, not breaking COVID rules because we're actually in the ocean, so it's fine.
Ooh,
If we were anywhere else or like
and
static,
it's
apparently.
it's in
You,
international waters.
yeah, it's technically there are no rules when we're out there, so it's fine. Um, but yeah, it's been really, really good. We realized that we've been in the sea probably 7 times this week already. We double dipped at one point, which is a
Oh,
hilarious terminology.
double, don't want to double dip. That's a dangerous.
Uh,
Crazy.
and then yeah, went for a surf this morning. Felt pretty good. Got a couple waves, and yeah, super stoked to get into this podcast. We have a lot to talk about. How have you
We
been? What
do.
have you
We
been
have
up
a
to?
packed show. I have not been too much, just working that 9 to 5 life as per usual, and mainly been either working or chilling. That's it. That's unfortunately the life at the moment in this current climate. And but absolutely excited to get into this podcast. We do have a packed show today. Uh, I guess the first thing to quickly talk about is this to our listeners. This may feel a bit like a Marvel podcast. It really isn't, but we talked about it last week, and then this week's unfortunately a bit of a Marvel podcast where we will be discussing things. We're not being paid to this. It just happens to be the next thing to talk about.
Yeah, it's the biggest thing that's happened in our lives right now, and it just happens to be more Marvel,
Yeah,
which they seem to be, which I'm super happy about because we haven't had Marvel in so long. I
feels
think the
like it.
last thing
Yeah,
we had was maybe Spider-Man,
Spider Man. Yeah,
or yeah, I think it was Spider-Man.
which
So
is
yeah,
good.
having WandaVision finally finish and is a fun thing to happen. But yeah, carry on, Duncan. What were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say that have you obviously Disney have released a Star, which is all their Fox properties have arrived, and
Yeah.
this includes things like the X Files and Terriers, and they've added a bunch of films, like classic films like you've got Commando, Crimson Tide, Independence Day, and then you've got some. Once again, also find Fox films you've never heard of,
Yeah.
and also they've released TV shows. I personally have so far watched. I've watched Solar Opposites, which is made by the people that made Rick and Morty. It's
I
made
remember
by
you telling
Justin
me about that.
Roiland. Yeah, it's not. It's okay. It's okay. But yeah, have you watched anything on Star?
I've not watched. I've had a flick through it, and it genuinely took me by surprise because I didn't know what I was expecting. Disney bought Fox, and then Simpsons came up on Disney Plus, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool." But that was when it first came out, and then Star launched, and I thought Star was like, "Oh, it's Deadpool, it's R-rated things, it's the stuff that they can't really show because it's Disney," and then I had a flick through it, and holy crap, it's becoming my go-to streaming service now. Netflix can get in the bin. Prime is Prime's pretty good. I mean, I only really use Netflix now for Sunny. Sunny, The Office, and Friends.
Oh
And
wow.
then Prime I use every so often when there's like a decent movie that I want to watch, and it's usually on Prime. But when I had a look through Star, I was like, holy crap, there's so many things I want to watch. So I'm probably going to be on Star quite a lot in the future. But right
Yeah,
now,
Always Sunny. Did they add Always Sunny to Sky, or am I just
I
to
don't think
Star
they did.
even?
It's been on Netflix since I was at
Netflix.
uni,
Yeah.
and then up until the Black Lives Matter movement happened, they kind of took away a couple episodes because of
Yeah.
some
That's not.
controversial
Yeah.
makeup.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
they did that to a lot of shows, though. I think they also did that to Community as well. So let's get to the news, Roy.
Yes.
Let's go. Let's fly through
So
this.
first couple of news. I just want to say, is it really news? It's fine. Thor: Love and Thunder. People have noticed different actors on the sets. Melissa McCarthy being one.
Yep.
Matt Damon, Liam Hemsworth, who is famously the brother of the two famous ones.
The brother of the two famous ones. He was in Westworld, though. To be honest,
He was in Westworld, yeah.
He was in Westworld. So.
And all I can say is they're probably doing another like play version that we saw in Ragnarok, where Matt Damon played Loki, Liam Hemsworth played Chris Hemsworth, and Melissa McCarthy has been seen wearing Hela's outfit. So she's like this fat version of Hela. So I think it's probably going to be more of a play version than anything else. It's not really news. It's just they've seen them on set, and it's fine.
Yeah, my only thing I would think about that is I hope they don't run this joke into the ground. Like it was funny the first time.
Yeah,
I don't want them to.
I'm hoping it's like a very minimal cameo and then it's over.
Yeah,
because
so
I loved the surprise of holy shit, that's Matt Damon.
Yeah,
and then it was over, and he's not in it ever again.
Yeah. It's like Brad Pitt in Deadpool 2.
Yeah, exactly. He's the invisible
man.
Yeah, that was great. But moving swiftly on. Oh damn. Swiftly on. I thought that was a good segue, but I realized
switching topics.
Switch to a different topic. The new Switch rumor from Bloomberg.com is where I found this. Is that the Switch is going to have a Samsung OLED screen, smaller bezels, and basically is going to look so much better.
Did I hear 4K? Did I hear 4K resolution?
4K res when it's plugged into the TV.
Oh, when it's plugged into TV. Yeah. I thought it was handheld. I was like, oh my god.
When it's handheld, I think it's still 720.
Oh, disappointing. But
I'm not sure. But I mean, in terms of like what they're dealing with Xbox and with PlayStation right now, they've just launched these juggernauts of graphics cards or whatever. And I quite like, we talked about this last time, like I quite like the fact that Nintendo are doing their own thing and it's working for them. But what I really hope for the new Switch, whatever it's called, Switch 2, Switch Pro or whatever, it involves a goddamn Breath of the Wild sequel, because they teased it ages ago. They didn't show anything in the Zelda 25th anniversary, whatever it was. And then Pokemon had an anniversary, and they were like, "Oh, we've done this instead."
And the lack of Breath of the Wild 2 is just too damn high.
I'm so angry. But
so angry.
I just, because Breath of the Wild was a launch game for the Switch, so I hope if they bring out a new Switch, Breath of the Wild will come along with it. So that's what I hope. What do you think about this? Are you going to get a Switch?
I might get a Switch. Who knows? I just wait and see. Absolutely, just wait and see. It's going to be good. I approve anything that sounds innovative like that. I think Nintendo partnering up with people like Samsung is quite a good idea. It's pretty obvious that whilst Samsung have got very good products, phones, tellies, so they're good at manufacturing stuff. So why not branch out and start partnering with these people? And you bring the creativity, and they can just bring the actual technology to the part, which has sometimes been their weakest link.
Yeah.
So I think it's good for all parties involved. Next thing, what are we up to next? Oh yeah, J.J. Abrams in as producer for a new Superman movie. I did not know this.
Did you not?
I did not,
I
but I do know this now.
I heard this from another podcast that I listened to, who are the guy that hosts it is like the biggest Superman fan in the world. He swears by Superman. So he came out with this news, and then I looked it up, and it was true. And I feel like it's not JJ like it was JJ in Star Wars. I think it's just going to be like a Bad Robot production. I think he's just going to slap his name on it rather than be involved. I don't know why I think that. Maybe it's because like they maybe heard that on the pod, but I just think maybe he's I don't know. His record, his last couple movies that came out weren't amazing.
My worry about J.J. Abrams is the South Park thing, where all I can think
Park
about when you said that, yeah, there's an episode of South Park where the American national anthem was causing a problem because it was all about riffing off of what is his name, the famous NFL quarterback who took the knee for the first time during the anthem, and
Oh
his name
yeah,
escapes me
I can't
off the
remember his
top of
name
my
either.
head.
I don't even know
That's
who he
really
played for.
bad. That's really bad. We're talking about like what a global Colin Kaepernick.
Right. I
Colin
mean, I'm not
Kaepernick,
massively into
looking at.
American sports.
Yeah.
I know who the Philadelphia Eagles are.
Philadelphia Eagles are. So he took the knee, and then the South Park obviously riffed off of that because it caused a huge thing. And they had to decided they wanted to rework the American national anthem, and they
Right.
brought in J.J. Abrams to do that.
Oh, funny.
And it just reminds me that you're saying he's brought in for Superman because Superman's kind of having a bit of a rough time. He's this Snyderverse. Superman's kind of not sitting well with people. And then it's like, we're bringing in J.J. Abrams. It's like, okay, so it's what you did with Star Wars. It's what you did with Star Trek. And now you're bringing him in for Superman.
Yeah.
So it's like, what's J.J. Abrams going to do?
I feel like he might have peaked at Star Trek because Star Trek was pretty good, was it not?
It was. I'm not really a massive Star Trek fan. I've never had talked to proper Star Trek fans' opinions about it. I thought it was pretty good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I enjoyed the movie. I don't know the lore or anything apart from Star Trek being Chris Pine.
I just remember aliens, Spock. Everyone knows what Spock is, I suppose.
Yeah, that's true.
It was good. It was good.
Everyone knows this thing as well.
I'm pretty sure my mum and dad watched it, and my mum and dad were like, "Actually, that was pretty good." Because they obviously watched the original. They were around when the original series was out, and they were like, "Actually, yeah, that was."
I think Star Trek for older fans. I think Star Trek ended up a lot better off than Star Wars did with when JJ had the helm. Because when JJ had the new Star Wars movies, everyone kind of went, "What the shit, JJ?" And then Star Trek, they're like, "He did a pretty good job."
Yeah, he did okay.
Whereas, but then again, Star Wars fans are hectic.
Yeah, I think Trekkie fans are just low key hectic. Like they just sit and complain to each other rather than it's outward.
My brother's one of them. He went mental when Star Wars didn't go his way. Which I don't think I went mental, but I was pretty disappointed with the Rian Johnson version and then JJ boycotting more things and. Whatever.
Yeah, I think we will probably get into Star Wars at some point. That is in the pipeline.
Apparently we will, and we'll be having a special guest on. And I'm not looking forward to it.
Or guests,
plural.
Or guests.
Not looking forward to it because I have a very strong opinion, and you guys also have a very strong opposing opinion. And I feel like you're doing it to piss me off. But that's beside the point.
It's called healthy debate. This is entertainment for the fans.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's healthy debate. I think it's just Eddie.
We can have copious amounts of alcohol.
Oh, this will be true. That'll be quite a funny pod.
It will be quite good. Yeah. But we'll get through that. So moving swiftly on from the news. I think that's all our news for today.
That is all our news.
All our news.
I mean, JJ, new Superman. Will he be a black Superman? Michael B. Jordan would be a really good shout.
Yeah.
Unless
he would be, actually.
Back in the MCU.
Yeah,
maybe. Unless he's dead or not. I don't know.
Who knows? Because it would appear that no one can ever actually die in the MCU. So let's get swift moving into the MCU.
Yeah, nice segue. We just want to say on the top of this segment, heavy spoilers ahead. So if you haven't watched the season finale of WandaVision, maybe pause the pod and then go and watch it, and then come back and then listen to the pod, and then you can have our opinion on what we thought about WandaVision, and then you can either disagree or agree. If you think you disagree, email us. tweet us. We don't really care. We're recording this because it's our thing. So tough. Um, but Dunk, do you want to give your first thoughts
I
as a
really
whole?
enjoyed, as a whole, I very much enjoyed WandaVision.
Yeah.
I thought it was a breath of fresh air. It wasn't as it was a completely different formula to what they usually do, and I thoroughly enjoyed the sort of the sitcom aspects to it, and I also enjoyed the overall story. So I would, on the surface, I would probably give it an 8 out of 10. Are we doing? We don't know
We
what
need
our
to
ranking system is yet, but I would
Yeah, we
say
need to
8 out of
figure out a
10.
ranking. I kind of like a four-way ranking. So
A
then it's
four
like,
ranking,
so
okay.
like shit, good, amazing, class.
Class,
You know,
right?
class has
Okay,
to be the top one because it makes
class
sense.
is, yeah,
But
of
like if we
course,
have
yeah,
some sort of four-way,
yeah.
it's one down from class, I think. It's
I'd
not
agree.
quite class yet.
Not quite class. Not quite class. At times, I think I would say it makes one the step down. I would give it, if we're going class and then excellent, I'd say it makes excellent. But upon review, I think it barely makes that
Yeah, yeah,
at
agreed.
times.
I feel like
Uh,
the series was so creatively written, and in particular more on the finale episode as well, because the two Vision conversation that they have, I just think is so well written, and their fight, I was like, yeah, fair enough. It's like
yeah,
classic Marvel, different color versus a different
yeah,
color, but with the same powers. But their conversation they had, because they're so intellectual and being
yeah.
robots, basically, I just thought that was so well written and one of my favorite scenes of the whole thing. And also just the creativity of going from wherever they started in the 50s and going all the way up to the
Yeah,
Modern Family episode, just changing sitcoms, but then also
yeah,
giving you those back and forths of outside the hex to back in the
yeah.
hex, and sort of leaving you guessing for the first couple episodes and then
Mm.
really throwing you into it. I just thought it was really, really well done. Yeah,
But at an average of $50 million an episode, it may as well have been pretty well done.
yeah. Well, yeah.
I'd be
If it
very
was, yeah,
cross if it didn't look as good as it did. So let's segue into that because, okay, so let's just review them, sort of
we'll do
go
episode by
through it all.
episode. Yeah,
Yeah, we'll try. We're going to try and do it episode by episode, just so you can get an idea of the story. If you're listening to this, we'll try and you haven't watched it, we'll try and explain it a little bit to make some sense for you. So episodes 1, 2, 3, we'll fly through these a little bit because there
yeah,
wasn't so much going on.
yeah.
Uh, Episode 1, set in the 50s, it was a riff of the Dick Van Dyke Show, which was a sitcom. Don't know if it aired over here,
I
definitely not in the
never
US.
saw it. I only
Never
know Dick
heard of it.
Van Dyke from like
Well, Mary Poppins.
Mary
Mary
Poppins. Yeah.
Poppins and Diagnosis Murder from BBC One in the
All right,
afternoon.
Grandma.
Oh yeah, listen. We've all been off school. We've all
Oh
been
my
off school at
god.
2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Uh,
Is he a
Diagnosis.
doctor that diagnoses how
Yeah, I
they
think he was a
died?
I think he was a doctor. No, he
A
was like a
doctor
doctor that
slash
solved like
detective.
mysteries.
That's
Yeah, he was a
amazing.
his son was the detective. Uh,
What a show.
it was,
Anyway,
and the son was actually his real life son. I'm pretty sure it was Barry Van Dyke was
amazing.
the son.
Of course it is.
So episode 1, Dick Van Dyke Show. I really enjoyed the black and white episodes.
I did too.
I thought it really they played a lot with the aspect ratio when they moved to the modern side. It had at the start it had a very much a Twin Peaks or an X-Files.
Yeah. I
or
got that
Fringe,
vibe as well.
or Fringe, if anyone watched Fringe.
Never
It
watched
had
Fringe.
that sort of creepy sci-fi sort of when the guys like a couple come over for dinner and then the guy ends up choking. And
Yeah, so
it's
like,
like really dark. He's just
the
like dying
Vision-
on the floor, and they're
Vision
they're all
works
eating
at like a
dinner.
computer company and his boss comes over
Yeah.
because he has to get a promotion. And then like he starts choking and then suddenly it goes from like 5:4 or whatever the ratio is to like widescreen.
Yeah,
Did you notice that?
yeah.
And then
I
and then
really
that's when
enjoyed
it like
that. They did that a few times.
it breaks the hex and then it
Yeah.
kind of goes, what are you going to do? And it's like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
And then it suddenly goes back to the TV show. And that's what 1, 2, and 3 kind of did, which I loved. Because did this one end? This one didn't end in color. Was the second one in black and white as well?
No, first one ended in color.
First one ended in
with
color.
Sword watching the TV show.
Oh yeah. That
I
was
had
the
the
other
Sword
time where
logo.
you realized, actually, maybe 1, 2, and 3 were quite good because at the end of one, you realized someone else in the TV show is watching the TV show. So you're watching the
Yeah,
show, and then you realize
in the
someone
show that
else
you're
is
watching.
watching this show within the show.
Hey, bro, I heard you like shows, so we put a show inside your show.
Oh my God, it's an inception
Thanks,
of
Exhibit.
shows. I thought that was very cool. And then flash forward to like episode 4, I think it is, you realize that it's Kat Dennings watching the show. But that's, I've
Yeah.
jumped ahead.
So they jumped to the 60s, the next one, and this is one
That's the
which was
Bewitched
based
one,
off
right?
of Bewitched.
Yeah.
Bewitched off the top of my head. They do a magic act, which is quite good.
Oh yeah, that's when the
very
Vision eats gum.
Eats gum, yeah. So the first 2 episodes very much are like a sitcom. Like you could watch them and you feels like a sitcom episode. But this, they only do like 1-2 things an episode that appear to progress the overall story.
Yeah.
So and there's like the black and white, but all the things that come from the outside world. It appears that there's this outside world, which is like she's in a bubble. The irony of today's world is that she's in a bubble in this town, and everything that comes from the outside. So she's in the 60s, but in the outside is modern, and everything that comes in that makes its way in or wasn't in the bubble originally is color. So it was like the toy helicopter. I think she found. Oh, it's the beekeeper. Oh no,
that's the end of this episode. I think the beekeeper.
The beekeeper coming. Beekeeper once again. Beekeeper comes out of the sewers. You're like, holy shit! Like, why is that there?
Yeah.
And you're like, that it's so X-Files, and then Wanda's kind of like, no, and all of a sudden the beekeeper disappears.
Dude, that was so intense as well because you went no, and you're like, and then it all rewinds and shit. But this episode again is also the introduction to Monica Rambeau. I didn't realize that because she's in the magic show.
She is in the magic show. Yes,
and I don't know if she breaks character at all. I think it's the next episode she breaks character.
It's the next episode she breaks character because that's when she gets punted out the bubble.
So like, is it the end of this episode? She says no to the beekeeper, and then it rewinds, and she's pregged.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden it goes from black and white to color, and she changes it all to the 70s.
Yeah,
and that's when they arrive in the next episode 3.
Episode 3.
They moved to the 70s. It was the Brady Bunch.
Yeah, that was a really good sequence. Actually, that was a good intro.
Was it the Brady Bunch? I can't remember.
Yeah, it was the Brady Bunch because then
Company or something.
You got to see like Baby Vision.
Yeah,
and apparently, little fun fact, that is actually Paul Bettany's baby picture that they've like CGI'd over to make it look like Vision.
That's amazing. That's so good.
This is the one where she gets pregnant and the doctor goes away and he's going on holiday, and then she gets pregnant real quick and then goes into labor, and then Vision has to go. Oh no, Vision goes to work, and then that's the first time he takes that dude out of the hex, and it's like super creepy, and he like his colleague, and he
is that one?
Is that this one?
I'm not sure. I can't.
And he's like,
you
gotta stop it. You gotta help, and then he puts him back in, and he's like, what up?
Yes. Yeah.
Is that this one?
But then when I can't remember if that's that one, but it's interesting that once they progress it, and then you've got Geraldine's, which gets punted out, who turns out to be someone completely different.
Yeah.
She's not Monica Rambeau at all.
You find out Geraldine,
next. She's not Geraldine. Yeah, she's got a sword necklace. And then like that's when he talks to Agnes basically grasses out Geraldine by being like, she doesn't have a house here. Why is she on the street?
Yeah. And yeah, totally.
And that's when he runs back inside the house and he's like, where's Geraldine? And she's like, oh, she had to leave.
She had to go home.
Like, she had to go home. Yeah. And she's like punted her through
it's so dark. And that's kind of where you start to see that maybe Wanda might. This is why I love the writing in this. Wanda, although she's the protagonist, might actually also be the antagonist. Yeah. Because all these people are hating the fact that they're living this life in this TV show with her.
Yeah, there's been bits. For people that haven't watched it, there's these asides during the show that very much feels like Twin Peaks, X-Files, Fringe, where you've got these very Invasion of the Body Snatchers was another one that came to mind, where it's something very B-movie sci-fi, but it's creepy. And because the black and white, for example, a girl cuts her hand and the blood's red, but the rest of the screen's white. And it's a trick as old as time in terms of like cinematography, but it works really well.
Schindler's List,
I think, did it. I'm sure Sin City did it as well because it was all black and white, but there was specks of color. It just works really well, and it's the black. I love the black and white, and then I love the color in the 70s, and then I honestly feel like this was the point where you've got just the right balance, and then we get to episode 4, and that's where things kind of shift up to a whole new
Yeah,
level.
episode 4 for me is when it really kicked in and got really good. And
Yeah,
this is another reason why I freaking love the MCU, because they've had this huge, like, catastrophic event that happened, the blip, basically, where people just snapped out of existence. And
yeah,
then episode 4 starts, she's come back from the blip and
exactly where
in a
she left it
hospital,
as well.
exactly where she left it. And it is like pandemonium in this hospital of people just showing up. And then she realizes it's been like 3 years, and her mum, who was from Captain Marvel, had
Yeah,
cancer, survived the cancer, but then died within the three
died
years.
during after she survived the blip, but died during the blip.
Yeah.
So therefore, it doesn't. Yeah, it's all very strange. I agree with I love the pandemonium. I thought that was very clever because it grounded it.
Yeah.
Because you don't see that. Of course, there would be chaos, and they actually did the grounded bit really interesting in Endgame of all places. We saw how they were moved on, and Captain America's doing like a support group,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you're kind of like just a random support group, and you kind of think to yourself, well, that would make sense. Like half the
Yeah.
world just disappeared in a oneer, but then they all come back in the places that they left. So of course, if you're in a hospital, suddenly there's like
Absolutely.
50 people arriving, and like all of a sudden the wards are doubled.
And that's what I'm enjoying about these movies and now TV shows post Endgame,
Yeah.
because, or post Infinity War, because Spider-Man at the start of that movie, Far From Home, you see what happened in the school when everyone came back from the blip,
Mm.
and they've done it so well, and
Yeah,
it's
it's
very
pretty
well thought out,
impressive.
very well written.
It's very yeah, definitely very well written. And then in this episode, you meet Agent Jimmy Woo. You
Jimmy,
meet Monica Rambeau.
and he does the magic
Randall
trick.
Park plays Agent Jimmy Woo. You meet Monica Rambeau,
Yep.
and
Kat Dennings is back.
Kat Dennings arrives, who was in the Thor films, so it kind of ties that in as a side
Yeah.
character, and you begin to learn what's going on from the outside world's perspective of what's happening in WandaVision, and you discover the bubble, the evil red bubble, the
Yeah.
hex as they
Which
call
I
it,
think Darcy calls it the hex because it's actually hexagonal.
because it's hexagonal, but it works because witches cast hexes, so
Ah,
I guess that
a,
also works.
a
It's
double
like
entendre.
they're super meta. They're actually more. That where I'm going with my argument is that they're going to be super meta by the end of this.
Yeah.
And then you've written the next bit. What happens next? Let me just check the notes or check the episode guide.
Basically, episode 4, you start to really see more behind the hex rather than in the TV show, and it's more of a Marvel Agent Carter sort of movie almost, where we're just
Yeah,
seeing about the cops and the FBI and what's happening behind the scenes, and we meet what's his face, the guy who, in my opinion, is not written very well because he just seems to be written like a bad guy. Like all he wants to
Director
do,
Hayward.
that's his name, Hayward. He needs to get in the bin as well.
He's getting it.
I mean, and if I was to give this show a negative, I think the bad guys were written very
On note.
quickly,
Yeah.
and even the outcome of Hayward is a bit like, oh right, okay,
Yeah.
that's what you're gonna do with them, okay.
Skipping to. I was going to say this towards the end, but you brought it up, so I'm going to say it now. This show, there's loads of different. I'm trying to think of the right phrase to use, but I think you're right about saying Hayward. He's this character. He's introduced. He's in quite a few episodes, and yet the payoff isn't great for him. They
No,
introduced Jimmy Woo. I hate to bring this up now. I liked Jimmy Woo as a character.
I love Jimmy.
I think, in fact, I liked all the people, all the actors and actresses in this were brilliant. It was brilliantly cast, but the Jimmy Woo character serves no purpose.
I mean, if he
Kat
wasn't,
Dennings, Kat Dennings also gets Kat Dennings also gets sold down the river because she's in it, and then she's in the finale for literally feels like 10 seconds.
that's another negative for me. Is I thought she was going to have more of an impact when she got into the hex, and then Vision took her out of it because he recognized her, and then this was in the Modern Family episode, she told him basically his background, like you died and then you came to life and then you died again.
Yeah, and that feels like that was her sole purpose. That
Yeah,
feels like that was
I
like her
kind of,
entire purpose to be in the show. At which point I was thinking about this. I was trying to think about it. We were chatting about it. And I was trying to think, what am I going to say? I thought it feels like she's been. It was like a waste of Darcy Lewis as a character. That could have been anybody,
Agreed.
and
Yeah.
they did that.
They
Brought
needed a
her in, but
scientist.
yeah, they needed a scientist, so they used Darcy. They got a few. Everyone was like, "Yay, yay, Darcy's back." Or people that watched the films were, "Oh, remember her? She's in Thor. Oh, she's quite good fun." Yeah, but then they didn't use her that well,
Yeah.
and I think that can be said. So moving sort of through, so with them being in, and this gets to the bit that really blows my mind, was the Halloween episode.
Yes.
Are we talking
Keep
about?
talking about that. I'm
Oh
just
no,
gonna
there's one
put
for the.
my laptop on charge.
All right. We should definitely get technical difficulties.
Okay.
We should definitely get a technical difficulties
Yeah.
screen. We can put that up like intermission. Yeah. Oh, sorry about that. Welcome back. And actually, we're not on Halloween episode at all. Did we talk
Episode
about
5 is where...
Episode 5 is not. It's the one where episode 5. So Darcy's arrived. The FBI are starting up. Then we move to episode 5. It's the 80s. It was. It'll come to me.
That's when Vision finds out that people aren't as what it seems. And he takes that guy at work.
That's when he takes him out.
And then he freaks out. And then Vision's like, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah. And then I think that they have the dog, the kids. They can't stop the kids from crying. The kids age. And I'll get to the kids age in a minute. But the kids age, Vision starts to question his reality.
Yeah.
I've got the boys age up again.
They get rid of the toddlers very quickly, which I thought was a smart move.
It's a smart move, but then once again, there's absolutely zero. There's zero payoff for the kids being that old, and I'll come to that in the finale bit. This is when we get a really cool scene where Hayward tries to drone strike Wanda. And Wanda basically takes his drone and throws it back at him, going, "Hey, take this." And just like throws like a huge hunter killer drone back at him. It's like, take that and go away. And then obviously this episode ended with the sort of Luke Skywalker moment, I suppose, of, so if no one's seen The Mandalorian, spoilers alert. But what was it? If I know, let's just call it a Skywalker moment, where a certain, a character, a surprise character that no one knew was going to be in it, where it's Wanda's brother, Pietro, who's Quicksilver. Quicksilver, spoilers again, dies in Age of Ultron. And
it's not really a spoiler. It's like a 10-year-old movie or something.
Just 10-year-old movie. If you haven't watched it by now, and you're listening to this, I suppose. So Pietro died, and then when she opens the door, not only is it Pietro, but it is Evan Peters, who is a fantastic actor and plays Pietro in the Fox X-Men
Is he
films.
called Pietro in the X-Men
No, he's
movies?
called Peter because they didn't have the rights to call him Pietro because Marvel owned the name Pietro. It was, and the more I think about it, the more bonkers that whole situation must have been.
There was one little thing in that episode, in the next episode, but when the whole reveal of Quicksilver's at the door and it's the guy from the X-Men movies, everyone blew up and was like, "What's happening?" Disney and Marvel and Fox and
finally
the X-Men are going to come in and everything's going to be great. And it wasn't, but we'll get to that. But
we'll get to that. Yeah.
What I really liked in episode 6, in the Halloween episode, was Evan Peters said to Wanda at one point, he said, "Oh, that's kick ass." And then he ran away. And then Wanda went, "Kick ass." And I was like, nice. Because he was also in Kick Ass, but he wasn't a superhero.
He was in Kick Ass. And what else we got? Yeah, Halloween episode.
Great episode. Really good.
Vision goes around, and that was where Vision starts to unravel this conspiracy. So we're 6 episodes in. There's 3 episodes left, but they didn't actually start unraveling on the conspiracy side. Vision didn't really start to unravel it quickly enough.
Yeah.
But then it turns out they're tracking Vision. Vision finds all these people like frozen in time, which was really cool. Once again, creepy.
So like outside of what Wanda is dealing with, people are just like frozen.
Like a video game.
Like a tear goes down one of her cheeks at one point.
Because she can't move.
Fuck.
She can't move. If she's semi-aware, she's probably bursting for a piss.
Yeah.
Probably standing there going, "Oh my god, I just need to go to the bathroom. Please
let me go to the bathroom." Oh, amazing. But yeah, it was a good episode, and the fact that Vision found out a hell of a lot more about what was going on.
Yeah,
And
someone had to unravel it.
yeah, exactly.
And then is this not when he
And that's when he
breaks
also
through the barrier?
no, that's the next episode.
Is it?
Um, oh
Oh, is
no,
it? No, because
maybe
he
it is
breaks
this
through,
episode.
and then
Yeah,
like that's when she expands it.
because he meets Agnes at the edge of town. Another fun fact on Ellis Avenue.
Yep.
So Ellis, I don't know if she named the streets or if it's just a coincidence,
Yeah.
but Ellis was the guy that made them sign the Sokovia Accords.
Was it?
Like Commander Ellis or something, whatever his name is. Yeah. I read that
All right,
somewhere.
okay.
I was like, what? But either it's a coincidence or it's really good writing.
I think it's coincidence.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, so the Vision finds Agnes and she's like, oh, you have to stop Wanda from doing this. But like in hindsight now, you're like, she's a cheeky one.
Yeah, she's a cheeky one.
And then Vision gets rid of his comic book outfit, which was very cool, and
Very cool.
walks like past Ellis Avenue and then basically tries to get through the hex and almost kills himself doing it.
Yeah, because we discover he isn't real, but we already
He's
kind of
not
figured
real.
he's not real.
Yeah.
And
then that brings us on to episode 7.
Which was this is the one that I thought was the weakest episode until the finale.
Yeah, it's the Modern Family Office / Parks and Rec episode. Basically, you get interviewed.
Yeah,
as part
basically
of the
it's that skit. Yeah, exactly. That's the hook for the episode. Darcy gets sucked into the hex. She becomes part of the circus because she's back in time, and then they change reality, I suppose. And then this is where like this episode had a weak bit, which was like Monica and Jimmy go out. Monica Rambeau, we'll get onto, goes out and goes to find loyal sword personnel to obtain a vehicle to cross through the barrier,
which does fuck all.
Which does nothing, and then she ends up she runs through the barrier anyway.
She just goes through herself and then
goes through herself
superhero.
and gets superpowers on the way through because it alters her DNA and all sorts. And then she comes out with like powers like Captain Marvel, I suppose.
But let me answer this, Duncan. Do you know why we know she's a superhero?
I don't know, Rory. Why do we know she's a superhero?
Because she does the superhero landing.
Oh, they absolutely knacker your knees, those two.
Good superhero landing.
Superhero landing.
I laughed out loud when I saw it because I can't believe they did it. And it's now that Deadpool's technically part of the MCU, I guess, it's just even better. So
the best thing they could have done was have Deadpool just randomly appear and just go.
Yeah, it was just in the background. Yeah, I'm sure there's a meme out there somewhere of it.
That would be excellent. But that is the episode where we finally meet the villainess of this piece. Villainess.
That's more so at the end, I reckon.
More at the end. But you meet her, Agatha Harkness, who's just a witch from the comics.
I had to look her up. I had they sort of revealed it at the end of the episode, like it was a huge thing, and I was like, I dropped my laptop out. I was just like, who is Agatha Harkness?
I think as soon as you saw her like doing like if Wanda does red magic, then she does purple magic. You're like, oh right, okay, she's a witch. Cool. Yeah, that makes sense.
And then the other witches, because there was that's the next episode.
That's the next.
Are they also purple, or are they a different color?
I don't know, but they're just witches. I don't know if they're like a specific color.
But this episode 7 had one of the best lines in it, in my opinion, which during the whole Office Modern Family interview thing, when Wanda's like freaking out because Monica turned up again.
Yeah.
And then Agatha's like, I'll take the kids. They'll be fine with me. I won't bite. And then there's the interview where she's like, I bit a kid once. Which I just like, what is her name?
Catherine Hahn.
Catherine Hahn is just
she's
so
in Parks
funny.
And Recreation as well. And she's also in Step Brothers.
She is in Step Brothers. That's where I recognized her from. And I just think she's, for a comic actor, it must be so hard to go from comic actor to serious actor. But I think she nailed this because she has to be this kooky, quirky, like 60s, 50s, 70s neighbor who's like a nosy neighbor and is like way over the top, and then suddenly just goes so serious and so kind of devilish and like a bad
sinister.
guy.
Yeah,
sinister. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, I think that there has to definitely be props to the Catherine Hahn, Elizabeth Olsen, and Paul Bettany, who did a very good job of, great acting, but did a very good job of acting exactly like they did in those and actors did in those particular sitcoms or that particular
Yeah,
era of sitcoms.
agreed.
So their 50s one was really good. Like the 50s
Mm.
was really good. The 60s, they're each one they actually felt like you were watching
Yeah,
actors act like that. I think that's
yeah.
a pretty impressive talent.
Mhm.
And then
And then
so
we have an interview with Vision as well, because Vision finds Darcy,
yeah.
because he's still going around trying to figure out what's happening. He finds Darcy again, takes her out of the hex, and she's like, "Oh, we already talked about this." She tells the Vision about his past and things like that. And then this is another bit of bad writing that I didn't like, was she stops at every red light and then gets like stopped by someone else and then stopped by, and I was like,
It's supposed to be funny, bro. You're supposed to laugh.
I didn't laugh. I was like, just drive. And then Vision flies away, and he even talks to the camera at that point. He's like, "Why am I talking to you? Like, what is happening?" And he flies away, and you figure out later on
Yeah,
where he goes.
this is what I mean about them doing her like just doing her out of like lines or doing her out of character development. Like
Who?
it's
Darcy.
Darcy. It
Yeah,
just feels like she's there, she's getting character development, but then when we get to sort of episode 8, she's not in it. It's really only Agatha and Wanda, where leading on to the end of that episode, finally we get an idea of what the hell's going on.
yeah.
And we know it's just set. 8 feels like they retcon a lot of stuff. We discover that the big hook is obviously she's like, "You're a Scarlet Witch," which
That's the first time we've heard that, right?
yeah, it's the first time she's ever been referenced as one,
As a Scarlet Witch, because
which
I
is good.
think Tony calls her a witch at one point.
Yeah, I think he just calls her a witch because she does like
He's like,
magic.
"Don't let that witch
Yeah.
destroy." This is before she's an Avenger, I think. Don't let
Yeah.
that witch mess with your mind or something.
Yeah, so it's Hawkeye or it's in the Ultron.
Is it the Ultron movie? Yeah.
I'm sure it's Ultron when they're in the
Yeah.
boat.
But moving swiftly on, because this is
Yeah.
turning out to be quite a long podcast.
How's it already? Wow.
We're on 40 minutes, I reckon.
All right, so we'll
42 minutes.
smash through the last 2 episodes. We can always
Episode 8 and then the finale. We get a background of Harkness. She was in the Salem, Massachusetts.
the witch
what's it called?
trials, the
Witch
Salem
trials.
witch trials.
Yes.
But it's like a flip on it because they're witches trying witches, which
Yeah,
is
it's not sticks and
it's not
like
sticks and pitchforks.
and
Yeah. And then basically we discover what happened. You get more expanse on the story, and it's an excellent episode. It kind of explains the sitcoms, explains everything really well, and Agatha's kind of leading Wanda down this path, and it explains how it all happened, and it's very touching and it's very well written, that episode.
yeah.
And then basically you get introduced to this now remade Vision who's going to fight everybody, and then that's how it ends. Because do you not get the Snooper's going to snoop? Is that the end of this one or the one before that?
This is the first time we get a post credit scene, because now we're
Yes,
in the era. Now we're in our era, which this is another reason why I thought it's so well written. We're in our era now, and we never had post credits until our era, so that's why it's the only post credit scene.
Only post credit scene.
But at the end of this one, episode 8, is the Snooper's gonna snoop, I think.
Is that this one or is that Agatha? Oh, also by the way, shout out to episode 7, because is that not when we get Agatha all along? The Disney.
That's episode
Disney
7.
villain
Yeah.
theme song.
I think 7 is the one that we have the post credit scene. Snooper's gonna snoop.
Yes. Snooper's gonna
Because
snoop, and also
episode
Agatha all
8,
along.
the ending of episode 8, the post credit scene is White Vision.
Yeah, I agree with that.
We find out that what's his name? Hayward has reassembled Vision, but he's lost all his color, and he's got a nice blue thing in his head now, and he's being powered by the drone that Wanda had then thrown back at him in rage.
Yeah,
which that's her fault, really.
That's her fault, really. Yeah, exactly. So finale.
Yes.
And summing up, right? Things I liked about the finale. Obviously, you get you have in the finale, you've got a lot to cover. It's obviously only 48 minutes long, so they wrapped up a lot of stuff. They wrapped it up pretty well. You've got let's see from the start. She has a quick fight with Agatha Harkness, who gets Wicked Witch of the West.
Yeah, I know. I laughed at
getting
that.
crushed by the car out of nowhere. I thought, and left the shoes, which I thought was kind of funny.
That was good.
And then the two, like you said earlier, two Visions fight. It's very Terminator. He comes out of the fire.
Yeah.
There's the whole Marvel, and then I agree with you. The best thing that happened to Vision was that he solved his fight with knowledge,
With intelligence.
with intelligence. I
Yeah.
thought it was quite clever. I thought it was
Yeah.
that was actually really good. I don't like the fact that it was Vision on fighting Vision. I wasn't really sure about that. I felt
Yeah.
like that was kind of a bit weird, but it was good. Like I said, I enjoyed it. I liked the way that did. I liked
They used
the ship of
the
Theseus
yeah.
thing they did where they
Great
tried to
analogy.
use. Yeah, it was very, very well done. And then I liked Agatha versus Wanda in terms of like magic on magic.
Yeah, again,
Good.
I felt the same way about Vision on Vision, just being like, it's the typical phase 1, phase 2 Marvel of
Yeah.
it's the same as the good guy, but a different color. And then,
Yeah.
but then it did have a turnaround during that fight. So like they were like throwing fireballs or magic balls or
Yeah.
whatever. And like I felt like she was missing on purpose at one point.
She was, and
But
she
then,
was.
yeah, but then you get what I love is the fact that she's learned something in the last episode, and then she's
Yes.
used it in this episode, and she's like, bam, you can't use your powers with the witch
Yeah.
that's cast these runes. And I was like, oh, well done.
Yeah.
Very well
Yeah,
written.
makes sense. Very well written, very well
Yeah.
directed. Didn't realize it. And
And
then
then they
she
did the
reveals
whole
herself as well.
she disappears and did the whole like in her
Yeah.
head type thing. And I was
Yeah.
like, here we go. Now there's a
Here we
fight
go.
going on. She's going to mess with her mind. And then that kind of backfired on her a little bit as well.
Yeah, like that was great callback. Not really
Yeah.
done to as well. And then obviously she does the what do you call it? She turns into the Scarlet Witch
She says
by
she
taking
is,
all
yeah.
the power, and the costume reveal, which is brilliant. It
Badass
It looks
costume.
like if you watch the Halloween episode, it looks like a modern version of that, which is
It's-
exactly their costume design's on point
Yeah.
for everybody. So it's
And
not to be unexpected.
I think really, really, really good costume. And it reminded me of Daredevil when Daredevil got his costume at the end of season 1.
Yes.
And you're like, that looks so badass. And maybe it's
Yeah.
because it's the same color. But
Yeah, I think it's earned as well. I think she's earned
Yeah.
this comic book costume.
she's
throughout
been
the series.
called it. She now knows
Yeah.
she's a witch.
And now
then
she has got the comic
she's got
costume,
her big
yeah, so
get up. And the whole Red Riding Hood thing at the end as well is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's got a hood on it.
puts a
It's
hood
kind of
on
a
it.
modern touch. It's
Pretty
kind
sweet.
of fun.
Coming to
Right.
that part at the end, did not
Yeah.
like it at all.
Oh, there's so much we could talk about. Just the
Darcy
finale
shows
alone.
up. The
Darcy
kids get
gets
involved,
done.
but the kids can get in the bin.
I
They
thought
didn't
there was
really
going to
do
be an
anything.
Incredibles moment when
Yeah,
they all like
they did the whole,
pose,
like-
and you're like, that's straight out the Incredibles 1, and I'm like, this is going to be brilliant. The kids serve no part. Like
Didn't do anything.
genuinely, my only criticism of this show is that everything's great leading up to it, and this is kind of a problem with Marvel as a whole. There's a great build up, and then they fail to stick the landing. And I was trying to think of a way to kind of describe this. Imagine a gymnastics routine in the Olympics, right?
Okay.
And the routine itself is gold, right?
Yeah.
The routine itself is gold, right? But when they come off the bar to do their landing,
Yeah.
they screw it up.
They
So it
kind
goes
of
from a
roll
gold to
their ankle.
silver, or silver to bronze, or they jump. Like I don't know, but
Yeah.
they go to stick the landing, they don't stick the landing. I think that is actually where Marvel and this show fails a little bit, because they've done like quite good build up,
Agreed.
and then they completely fail to stick the landing, and
Agreed.
that's why it drops down a level and a bit more. Because when you start to review it, you're like, wait, what was the point in Darcy? What was the point
Yeah.
in Jimmy Woo? Like,
Yeah.
what did Jimmy Woo actually, as a character, what did Jimmy Woo actually enable?
I know you say
Really?
that. To be fair, he had some really good. I mean, he shouldn't have. There's no point of him being there, but he had some really good lines
No.
on. He got handcuffed, and then he got out and he went flare, which I thought was
Yeah.
a nice little callback to Ant-Man.
Yeah,
He
I
had
thought
some
it was-
really good moments, but could it's like an Indiana Jones thing. If he was there, would it have been a different outcome?
Yeah, I just don't know if and I think that's the same with Monica Rambeau, in a sense that I
Yeah.
know why she's there, and I understand that they're
We
clearly
need
trying
her
to
to-
do a few things. It's
Yeah.
kind of Iron Man 2, where it's like we need her because we need her for Secret Invasion, the TV show with
Yeah.
Nick Fury, and we need her for probably Captain Marvel too. I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, but did it have to be Monica Rambeau? Like, they made a big deal out of her, and then she doesn't really get any
Yeah.
closure.
And then, but then at the end, like she walked like Wanda. To be fair, the end super sad. I actually almost cried. If I was an emotional man, I would have cried.
It was that was great writing. So it
That was
paid off
really,
on the
really nice.
emotional stakes. It paid off
Yeah.
with the goodbyes and the emotional stakes. But I couldn't. It was the finale's a real mixed bag of.
Yeah, when she gets rid of the hex and all the people are kind of back together, back to normal, and the mum from that '70s show is like, "Kill me." She's like, "Just let me die." No, that was the other bit.
Is that the lady that got like second billing or third billing in the episodes that she was in? But
she was in the first episode.
She's in the first episode, like third or fourth episode, and like she's billed on 5 of them, and the ones that she actually appears, she's third billed, and she's only in it for like a grand total of like 2 minutes.
That '70s show was a huge thing.
Yeah, I know it's a huge thing. I'm just saying she must have a great agent.
Yeah, very true. But yeah, what I didn't like was the way they dealt with Hayward. Was he tried to drive away, and then Darcy shows up in a van, and bang, she's like, "Enjoy prison," and I'm like, is that it?
And that's it.
That's how the bad guy's going to get done. All right.
Yep, that's how she gets done. And that's all Darcy does.
Wanda walks through after Vision and the kids are all gone, which is nice. Like, she gets closure. Like, that's what this whole thing was about her dealing with grief. And then, again, I'm digressing quite a lot, but that line of, "What is grief but love persevering?" I was like, dude.
He has some great. He has some great wall quotes for people's walls.
I know. Who's I'm probably going to get that tattooed somewhere on me because that's what I do apparently. I think Eddie always asks, or Jamie always asks, "What's on my chest?" And I'm like, "Yes, very good."
What's on your chest now?
Life's
what's
a journey.
What's it this week?
But yeah, what I didn't like was you get Wanda walking up the street. All these people are now out from the hex.
Yeah.
And she talks to Monica and says, "I'm just going to go if that's fine. I'm just like, I'm just going to go away." And she's like, "Yeah."
All right, cool. Yeah.
I'm like,
okay.
What? Fair enough. Like, I don't know, but like,
I mean,
she caused all this chaos for all these people for God knows how long they were in the hex for. And then Monica, who's like head of FBI, just goes, "Yeah, see you later." Head of Sword just goes, "Yeah, just go away. It's fine." And then that's kind of what we're left with. And then I think it finishes. And then we get 2 post-credit scenes.
Hold on. Let's just skip back to Pietro for a minute because I feel like there's been we have been hoodwinked.
We've been duped.
There's been a magic trick. The wool was pulled over our eyes. I'm
tossed between this reveal because 1, who doesn't love a Bono joke?
I mean, it's funny, but it's once again it kind of harks back to bringing in Darcy, right?
Yeah. What was the point?
What was the point in that? It was clearly only done for clicks. If Evan Peters had somehow
it was clickbait.
It was clickbait. It was literally clickbait. It got everybody talking about it. Everyone was like, "Oh my god, did you see that? Yeah, like the Fox guy. Yeah, that's gonna be massive because the next one's called the Multiverse." And you're like, "Oh yeah, it's all to quote Kronk,
everyone was
all coming together.
It's all coming together.
All coming together." And then it didn't.
And it didn't. No, Marvel basically Marvel went, "Look at this, and then went.
Yeah, it's a magic trick. It's literally a magic trick. They boosted the reviews, and then they were like, "Actually, it was a classic case of show don't tell." As soon as you told us what happened to Boner, where Evan Peters' character Ralph Boner came from, and all of a sudden you're like, "Oh, right, okay." So he just looks like Quicksilver. You're like, that's a waste.
Fair enough.
Like you could have had him if you'd had that guy, the guy Ralph. So the way I was trying to fix it in my head, if you had Ralph Boner, as a character,
it's great.
I would keep saying it, Ralph Boner as a character. And
it's like our version of Benoit Balls.
Benoit Balls. So you have Ralph Boner, played by somebody else, and then had Evan Peters' face basically, or his character from the Fox universe, kind of printed on top. Yeah. And then when the hex is starting to disappear, you just see like a flash of purple or whatever, and
it's a different
actor.
The guy,
Evan Peters, is actually a different actor.
That would have been good.
It doesn't need explained that Evan Peters came from the Fox universe, but it would kind of make it appear that Evan Peters did come from the multiverse, but they wouldn't have had to explain it. Everyone would have just been like, "Ooh, like
it's from the multiverse."
Did she pull him from the pull him from somewhere else to paste over the top sort of thing? Instead, we got this Iron Man 3-level fake out that just drives me up the wall for a boner joke. I'm just like,
Yeah, I laughed, but then went, Fair enough.
That, do you know what?
That's
I
what you're gonna
finished
do with
what
them.
we finished WandaVision, and I went, well, that was WandaVision.
That's fine.
I was kind of like,
It was
it was
good.
great. Like,
Yeah.
I watched it and it was entertaining. I think I've spoken to some of our friends about this, and I'm like, there's a fine line between like being critical about it and just enjoying it. I
Yeah.
enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong. It's like I'm going to hopefully this year get to see Kong versus Godzilla.
Nice.
I'm excited for that. I'm not excited for plot. I'm not going to be very
No,
critical.
you
of
don't
it.
watch a
I'll be
movie
very
like that
critical.
for the
Yeah.
writing.
I'm going to be critical of it if I don't get enough Kong versus Godzilla.
Yeah.
I'm not going to watch. I'm going to watch a giant gorilla punch the shit out of a giant lizard. I'm sold. I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in.
You don't go into that movie being like, this could be an Oscar winner.
Yeah, and I didn't think that about WandaVision, but it was very good and it was done very well. But if you once you start to kind of look at it and start like you kind of go, that was epic. It was a great season finale. It looked like a Marvel film, 6-hour long Marvel film. It's brilliant. But at the end of the day, they brought in so many characters and stuff that didn't really get any payoff to them.
Yeah.
And unless they had a real problem treating characters of the Monica, Jimmy and Darcy, and you made them main characters, and then except really Vision, Agnes, and Wanda were the only three that mattered. And it's the same with the children. The children got powers, but the powers only really you didn't need them. Like all it did was serve the dad thing.
I'll stop you there though, because the kids go into the post-credit scene as well, which mean that they might come back. So
are they?
We'll stop from there, and then we'll talk about the post-credits because we are pushing time. And from feedback, people said half an hour was great. So we're gonna go post-credits one.
Yeah, we'll
Monica
we'll
gets
break it up, or we'll cut out some of our ramblings.
We'll finish it.
All right. I was gonna say cut out some of our ramblings in the middle.
We might do. I'll have a listen to it back. I'll edit some stuff out. But so post credits one, Monica gets taken into the theater, and we find out that it's a Skrull. Skrulls, because I forgot Skrulls are a thing, but I was kind of figured that one of them would show up. And she talks to her and says, "So and so wants to see you," and points up to space. And I'm thinking it's either Captain Marvel, obviously, or it could also be Nick Fury, because he's on a Skrull spaceship somewhere, because that was at the end of Captain Marvel? End of
Spider-Man.
End of Spider-Man. He's like in a makeshift Hawaiian beach resort.
And then you think he's on holiday, but he's not.
He's on
holiday,
a sword base. On a spaceship.
In space,
So it could be...
He's also in his TV show, Secret Invasion, which is coming out soon.
It could be him. It could be Captain Marvel. It'll be one of the two. And then she'll probably... Rambo will probably get her film budget uniform. Because her uniform in this one was pretty crap.
Yeah, it's a play on it, but it's not the full thing.
Yeah.
I assume it's going to look a bit like Captain Marvel's, but white, because that seems to be what her character is. Black and white, blue maybe.
Moving on to post credits 2, I want to say, now this is only because of the audio and the music that was used. We have Wanda possibly somewhere in the outskirts of China, because there's some very Eastern Asian vibes as the camera pans in, and I was like, oh, is this a Shang-Chi like post credits? Are we gonna, listen to it again, watch the post credits scene, because it is very like East Asian. I don't know what the right terminology is.
I get where you're coming from with that. I think her house is clearly I actually thought it was the house that Banner. I thought it was the house that Bruce Banner went to at the end of the Incredible Hulk. Because he goes to like this like lake retreat to like tempers. That's a long time ago. Yeah. And I was like, that looks like that looks like North America somewhere. Canada, North America.
But then it could also be
like
it could also be Scandinavia, because when you zoom further into the cabin, the artwork is kind of almost Native American or Scandinavian. I couldn't really tell.
You got Viking-y type like building, but it could also be Sokovia. It could be it's isolated wherever it is, and she's clearly doing the Doctor Strange astral projection thing.
So I was thinking, is she projecting a body of herself looking normal, and she's in the back reading, or is she projecting a spirit of herself reading?
Her mind is doing one thing and her body's doing another thing.
Right.
So Doctor Strange was asleep.
She's reading the witch book.
the Book of the Damned.
Book of the Damned, which I looked
She's,
up, apparently is from hell.
yeah, she's
uh,
basically she's like the MCU's version of like Jean Grey from the X-Men books. Like I think that's where they're going with that, where she's
she's like the
basically this
Phoenix.
unstoppable force of like
Magic.
complete chaos.
Yeah,
which is brilliant.
yeah. But then as
be...
we see her reading the book as a spirit person, we hear her kids shouting her. So
is that children or is that just people screaming from
well,
the
they're
Damned
shouting
book?
mum.
I'm not sure. Are they shouting mum? I didn't hear that.
They're going, "Mom, help!" And I was like, "Oh, all right."
Okay. So
I mean, it didn't do anything for. It genuinely did. I think I had that reaction. Was, huh?
Okay. I mean, it looked pretty cool, and like it's kind of like Doctor Strangey. I just think that, they've. It's funny because I remember seeing the Big Kev saying like, "Oh yeah, this is going to tie into because Doctor Strange was supposed to be like released like 2 weeks after this finished originally, so it was supposed to lead straight into it. And we talked about this before. It's all kind of up in the air.
Yeah.
And then, Doctor, if it was Falcon Winter Soldier was supposed to be first, and he was like, "No, this is a better introduction to the new MCU." I'm like, "Is it though? Because you didn't really explain the multiverse at all. We thought you were going to, and then you pulled the wool over our eye. I pulled, kind of swapped it. I swapped it out, and we're like, So you've not really explained anything. Didn't give us the Doctor Strange cameo, and now we're kind of left at a bit of a, all right, well, at least we got a Scarlet Witch origin story.
And then also, where's Vision gone? Did he realized he wasn't the true Vision? Has he gone to kill himself, or he is the true Vision? So I feel like he's just flown away to go and think about stuff.
I don't know. There's so much to.
But
like I said, these things are so hard to review.
Yeah, I know.
We need to cut these down.
That's a good long haul about WandaVision. I think we covered a crap ton of stuff.
We did.
If the listeners have anything they want to add or want to share, make sure you tweet at us as well. KidulthoodPod.
Yeah.
Email us as well, kidulthoodpod@gmail.com. We'd love to know. We've had lots of feedback already. Yeah. We're actually surprised at how many people have decided to listen to this.
Yeah, that's quite strange.
It was quite funny, and we didn't really promote it that much.
We also have people that listen in their tractors, which is very impressive.
Yeah, that was funny.
We reach a far-reaching audience.
Yeah. What I didn't appreciate was his comment of, "Isn't it strange hearing Kid talk about a girlfriend?" And I was like, "Yes, it's been a while. I'm fine now."
Yeah, God, you're not my mom.
Jesus. Anyway, moving on. We hope you enjoyed that very long review of WandaVision. I hope it was quite inspiring to you. Inspiring. I thought informative, I guess. If you disagreed, agreed, write to us. Let us know. We love the discussion. We love to talk about these things. We'll move swiftly on because we've got. If I've edited this right, we've got a couple more minutes left. And we'll move on to everyone's favorite segment of the show, the fantasy football segment. So we posted on Twitter and on Instagram our teams for fantasy. And how have you gotten on so far, Duncan? What's fantasy looking like?
Let me just look into this depths of despair to explain.
Are you a desktop fantasy guy, or are you a?
I use the mobile phone website because it's better than the app. The app is terrible in my opinion. Like the app. Some people like that. I don't
use the app to like change my team. I'll go online to do that, but I'll use the app a lot just to check the scores. So what are we sitting at right now?
We've had Saturday played. At 9 points. Do you know how many I've got on the bench?
How many do you have on the
22.
bench? How the fuck have you got 22 on the bench? Who?
James Ward-Prowse got 11. Got a goal and 3 bonus points. Ollie Watkins got 2, even though that's here nor there. He played, and Connor Cody got 6. Got clean sheet and 3 bonus points as well for 9.
Oh my god!
And Ward-Prowse has to play City next, so I was like, Southampton have been terrible. I'll put Ward-Prowse out, but everything good that comes from Southampton goes through Ward-Prowse.
Yeah, he's like the free kick king right now.
Yeah, he is. Like, he's set piece assists, probably takes penalty as well.
Yeah.
And I was just I thought to myself, it's 2 games, but Sheffield United are kind of on the way up. I was like, Southampton have been terrible. It's like, I'll go because I like West Ham playing Leeds. I think that could be quite high scoring.
Yeah. True.
So I was like, I need, which way do we go here? I was like, you know what? I'll put Ward-Prowse on the bench, and now I'm just instant regret.
I mean, that's pretty crap. I'm also on 9 points.
Oh,
I finally
small
brought in.
victories.
I used my wild card finally, second wild card. I brought in Martinez finally, and then I also brought in Mendy because Chelsea's defense seemed to be pretty solid right now. And I was tossed on whether or not to play Martinez or Mendy because Chelsea are playing Everton and Calvert-Lewin can't score to save his life right now. But then I chose Martinez, got 7 points out of the clean sheet. I've got Target on the bench. He got 6, but he's first on the bench. So if someone doesn't play, that's quite good.
Yeah.
I've also got Rafinha and Sufal on the bench. So I'm hoping that there isn't much scoring going on there with those two.
What West Ham United,
West Ham v
who are
Leeds.
chasing Champions League football, and Leeds who are just free scoring
Yeah.
and
I know,
also free defending.
Yeah. But then I've got, is it Regulon? Is that his name?
Regulon, the Decepticon.
The Decepticon Spurs player.
Decepticon.
I've got him in
left back.
defense, Chilwell in defense, Diaz in defense. I've brought in De Bruyne, Lingard, Gundogan's my captain. Sonny is back with his favorite player, Kane. So hopefully those two can double up
Yeah,
on
they-
Crystal Palace. And then I brought Antonio in again because they're against Leeds, and Leeds play it fast and loose with their defense.
I have got Diaz, Stones, Gundogan, Son, Kane. Mings has already got 7, so it's okay. Just to let everyone, this has already happened by the time people listen to this, but Fulham are 1-0 up against Liverpool. At Anfield.
Lovely. See, this is another reason why I got rid of Salah. Liverpool are bottling it. I have no idea what's happened to them. They're not the
Tired,
champions that we saw last season.
Tired. They also have no defenders, so
Yeah, this is true. Yeah, Alexander
so
Arnold
there's
and
that.
Robertson haven't really
Are not
been...
defenders, they're wingers
Yeah.
who also do
They've-
some defending occasionally.
They've got 2 guys somewhere in front of the keeper that isn't. One of them isn't Van Dijk, so they're screwed.
Yeah, or Henderson,
Or Henderson, yeah.
or
very
Henderson,
true.
or Fabinho. It's just all gone wrong. I mean,
But we'll update. We'll update on our socials on what happens with the fantasy football.
yeah, we'll do our
And we'll
total
see
points.
what happens. It's always good to sort of just see the fact that we do this on a Sunday.
Yeah.
We're always like sort of halfway through. So actually,
Yeah.
what we can do is, how was your double game week, Duncan?
I don't know. How do I find that? Oh, previous. Here we go.
Previous.
I got
Hi-
77 points.
77 points. Highest points was 178.
Yep. That's not good
Average
times.
75.
Average is 75. So I'm above average. So there we go.
I
Story of my
triple
life.
captained Harry Kane. I brought in Barnes for -4 points. Barnes got me 1 because he got injured. Triple captain Kane got me 24 points. Chilwell on the bench with 11. So I finished with 66. That is the
Wow.
worst triple captain double game week I've ever had, I think, on fantasy. It was pretty garbage.
Yeah. I had good, I had middle, like I said, just above average, middle of the road. Fernandez 12, Son 14. But who knows? It's a new week, and then
It is. It's another reason
So-
why I chose my wild card, because I was like, fuck this team. I need to change everything about it. So yeah, that was fun. I think we'll end it there. Do you reckon we'll end it there?
yeah, we'll end it there. I
Let
think.
me just find my outro, and I will obviously edit this out as well. So yeah, thank you guys for listening. We will be back next week with another episode of That's Class. If you like this episode, consider subscribing, leave us a like and a review. What we found over the last week, you can only really review it on Apple Podcasts and maybe Google. And I think if you watch on our YouTube channel, subscribe, like it, leave a comment on that
follow
as
us
well.
on Spotify as well, so you can follow or subscribe. I'm sure they call it one of the two.
You can follow. You can't leave a review, which is quite annoying because most people seem to be using Spotify now anyway.
Yeah.
If you have something you want us to cover, or you didn't like something that we covered today, you can catch us on the socials. Twitter and Instagram is That's Class Pod. It's pretty easy to find. We post on there quite a lot on things that we find class and just updates on what's happening with the pod. The YouTube channel I've just mentioned. We upload episodes onto our YouTube the following Wednesday. And what I also did on this Friday/Saturday was uploaded it to Instagram television because that's also a thing. So I figured just bring it
Really?
on
I
all
didn't
this.
know
Yeah, yeah. Well, there you go. We hope you enjoyed.
So much content. The market is saturated.
So much. Big thanks again to Stuart Hosking for the intro music. Duncan, what
well
did you
done,
think of the
Stuart.
intro music?
I thought it was great.
It's pretty good,
It's very
right?
chill.
It's class.
Very Monday morning. Yeah.
Very
It's exactly
Monday morning.
Exactly what we're aiming here. Aiming for here on
Stuart
this
Stuart
podcast.
told me he had to listen to the pod and he was like, I love it. It's very the intro is very 90s peep show vibes, which I quite liked. So if you guys like the intro music, let us know. Leave a 5-star review about the intro music.
Yeah.
I think you can find Stuart on some socials. I'll ask him again what his name might be, but anyway.
Yes, we'll need to do that.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this episode and that you tune in again next week to That's Class. It is goodbye from me, and say goodbye, Duncan.
Goodbye, Duncan.
Nice.